Hey, Terry. I'm ready when you are.
Okay. Welcome, everyone, to the July 2026 ADA meeting. Tracy, could you please take the roll?
I would love to. Chairwoman Weber-McLeod is excused. Mr. Andre?
Present.
Councilor Cuddy?
Present.
Crawford? Present. Mayor Giantino?
Present.
Mr. Lovell?
Here.
Ms. Walter is excused. Ms. Hennigan is excused. And Mr. Del Sacro?
Here. Okay. If everyone, if you've had a chance to review the minutes, everyone had a chance to review June's minutes, regular board meeting minutes, and should I also put the marketing committee meeting minutes? Has everyone had a chance to review those? Okay, can I have a motion to approve?
I'll move it.
Thank you, Dan.
Second.
And Bill. Dan and Bill. All right, Tracy, can you call roll? Or just, do we just, all in favor? All in favor, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, very good. So moved. All right, so new business. Tracy, do you want to take this from here?
Sure. So today we have Jack Meadow with us. Did I say your last name correctly?
Yes, you did.
Great. With Indus Hospitality, this is an initial project resolution for the hotel project that we've discussed in the past. The initial resolution does not provide any approval of incentives. It accepts the application and allows us to schedule a public hearing. So today we just are going to introduce the project, and if there's questions the board has about the project, its benefits, its challenges, we can go over that, and then I'll let Jet talk first and kind of give his explanation of the project, but and then if you want to go over the analysis of the costs and benefits, we can talk about that. So, Jet, if you'd like to kind of provide your
Sure. Thank you. Thanks to all the members of the board. Thanks for having me tonight. I appreciate it. My name is Jack Meadow. I'm the CEO of Indus Hospitality Group. We're a hotel restaurant developer, owner, operator based in Rochester. We've been in business since the late 80s. We have a little over 80 locations today. Pretty active in the Finger Lakes. We don't have any investments in Auburn, but we're looking forward to becoming part of the business community here. We're pretty active in Geneva and maybe more of the western side of the Finger Lakes. The plan here is to develop an 89-room Town Place Suites by Marriott. It's very similar to a facility that we opened at the end of last year in Henrietta, which Tracy was good enough to come out and take a tour with me. It's an extended stay hotel, basically a all suites hotel designed for both business and leisure travelers. Our average stay is more like 2 or 3 days. So even though it's an extended stay hotel, we don't do as many like 7 or 14 night stays. We tend to see it more than our nightly hotels. We do operate a portfolio hotels like Hampton Inns, Holiday Inn Expresses, Homewood Suites, etc. But we're really excited about the project in Auburn. We have 132, 134, and 138 Grant Avenue all under contract. We have received all approvals from the city, including one variance we needed, so we are through the municipal approval process. We are really just into the last parts of the project. Most of the site, if not all of the site civil work is complete. Really now it's just figuring out the IDA piece, some of the other economic incentives, the capital stack. We have a very good sense of what the project will cost to build because we did just complete one last year. And just looking to kind of work with the board here, answer any questions. And with luck, and if those next parts of the puzzle can all come together, we would like to close on the property in the next few weeks. Probably apply for demolition permits, do the demolition on the site, maybe even do some site prep, get ready, let the site sit over the winter, get some nice compaction. One thing about our company is we're builder, owner, operators. We've never sold one of our hotels, we've never sold one of our restaurants. we will build this property with the intentions to own it for the rest of my life. So build it all out of concrete block and plank, not wood frame. Get nice compaction. You know, I know if you have a really nice compacted site, a really nice roof, you have a really nice building for long term. We want to build something elevated. That's our commitment to Marriott. That's our commitment to the community. And we hope we can work together and get it done.
And so just a quick overview of what's being requested. You see in front of, or in the summary, this $23.7 million investment. The requested financial assistance includes sales and use tax, mortgage reporting tax, abatement, and a 25-year pilot is being requested. All of that adds up to about $7.8 million with a net present value of $3.7 million. We've not talked about net present values in the past, but it's something that I'm starting to do with the pilots in particular to get the realistic benefit of, for purposes of what is the benefit as a ratio to the investment, because obviously $100,000 10 years from now is not the same as $100,000 now. So that's why I've included those numbers to just help show that this $6.7 million pilot, what that is a little bit more equivalent to in today's dollars based on a discount rate for that industry. So that's what that is. The pilot request is actually, what they've requested is a set pilot payment for 10 years that is basically equivalent to what it would currently be taxed at, considering a small increase each year. And then after that, enter into a 15-year accelerating pilot or increasing pilot that's based on the actual assessment, actual tax rates, and it works more like a traditional kind of pilot where it's 90%, 80%, I think it's actually 95, 90, 85, 80 for 15 years. And then at the end of the 25 years, they're back on tax rolls paying full taxes. So that's what's on the table for a request. That scenario was provided to Camoin Associates. It's outside of our UTEP, so it was provided to Camoin Associates to do an assessment of whether that level of incentive is necessary to make the project happen. And the outcome is guess. I'm not gonna lie, and I don't think this is surprising to Jet either. I don't love this pilot, but it is actually very necessary to make this project worthwhile for the investors, especially in those upfront years. Without the pilot set up the way that it is, financing is gonna be difficult or impossible because they're not hitting the debt service ratios, and then long term, they're not hitting a reasonable rate of return for the industry. So arguably, this is very much what's necessary to make a project happen. And I think that's a factor of a lot of things, including construction costs having escalated really drastically over the last few years. Hotel industry is, people still need hotels and want to go to hotels, but it's become a much less viable option for investors to build new hotels because costs have increased so drastically, especially over the last 6 years. So I think that's why we're seeing this dramatic of a request, and that is really necessary to make a project go. So I had a couple gut-wrenching moments of like, okay, let's just test it. Let's see what happens. Let's test it. And they knew what they were talking about, turns out. I never truly doubted it. It's just, I had an emotional reaction. So Camoin did confirm that even with this pilot, there's going to be some struggles in those first few years, which is normal for a hotel or a new business. So that's what came back from that independent assessment, and that what's being requested is very much reasonable to make the project happen. As for the local labor policy, they are working with their construction team to assess what they reasonably think that they can do. I know Brandon did mention one component of the project that is specific that specifically could be difficult with the local labor, but they're gonna kind of come back to us and let us know what the overall look about it is before we make a decision in August. It didn't sound like the standard, you know, like masonry paving, those kinds of things, it didn't sound like that was gonna be a problem. It's more some of the specialized work that they do with the type of concrete blocks that they use.
Block and plank specifically.
Thank you.
We can't find a block and plank contractor anywhere in New York State. They're basically out of Ohio and Pennsylvania when we stack the building. Otherwise, we're all for local labor, as long as we can find.
Yes, and that's the other question. Right now, there's a lot of activity, and just want to make sure that we do something reasonable and we're not having this conversation down the road. So they're going to get back to us on that. And finally, one request that they've made is to negotiate the administrative fee. This is entirely up to the board as to whether you'd like to do that. They've indicated to me they've worked with other IDAs that have, for a project of this magnitude, reduced the fee to between 0.5% and 0.75%, as opposed to the 1% that our fee typically is. So the board could opt to do that to help the upfront cost of the project. But the request is on the table for discussion. It's been thrown out there. And then you'll notice in the summary, I also kind of included some of those priority concepts that we've talked about being interested. So I'm going to open it to the board. Do you have questions? Do you have concerns? Is there additional information that you need beyond the local labor question?
So I just wanted to, since that was the last thing you talked about, so if we accept the application, it's the negotiation between the fee reduction, that can happen.
Correct.
Basically
This
tonight.
resolution does not do anything about the administrative fee. We would incorporate that into the authorizing resolution.
Right. All you're doing at this point is accepting the application is complete and scheduling the public hearing.
Right, very good.
And stating kind of.
Yes. I am glad that you brought that up, and I'm also glad that you brought the local labor, getting the sense of like, you know, some of the things that the building practice that you use for other hotels, that I understand that. I'm glad that you're looking into other, you know, labor avenues for local labor avenues for the rest, so that's very important to the board. I also understand it's tough to build today in this climate, and you're talking about like it's basically there's like almost like a 10-year freeze, and then it goes into the traditional pilot. So
Yes.
and Camoin came back and was like this makes it possible.
Yeah.
I do want to add something where, you know, that is, you know, I think is important, especially recently, and thank you for thinking of Auburn as a place. We are, I'm very confident that Auburn has been, I've witnessed Auburn's growth over the last few years. I see this as an indication of that. We just had a meeting at a current pilot place, and you know their thought that they felt the same way, that we're actually, you know, Auburn has grown over the last few years, and it's the indication of something like building a hotel is an indication of that. So the other thing I want to say is that we are very much I just wanted to say that this, to me, this is a good indication of what you perhaps see in the potential of this city. I do.
Pardon me. I have two things. I want to start by saying, from day one when I heard about this, I'm excited about the project. It'll be a good addition to Grand Ave. But I have two concerns. Tracy can help me with one. you're saying the average wage is 35,000 plus 7,000 for fringe benefits. Then on the second, or actually the third sheet, I see projected wage year one, 38,711. And then I see Cuba County, and Cuba County is notorious for low wages, especially outside of Auburn. Is hotels, motels, 40,440. Tracy, is that with fringe benefits or not?
I think it's seasonalized,
Yeah.
which is
So most,
sometimes be weird.
none of that, probably most of that doesn't have benefits, correct?
No. So this is the table, the actual job table.
Okay.
And what's really happening here is that most of the jobs in this particular hotel, because of the nature of being an extended stay, are in this, housekeeper front desk category. There are also higher paying jobs, general manager, an engineer, but the vast majority of the jobs in the table are those service jobs, those housekeeping
So help
type jobs.
me with the math, so I don't have to
Yeah.
break out my phone.
And so that's what brings the average down, it's just
Oh,
that there's
yeah,
so
I
many
understand.
people in
So,
this category.
with a housekeeper at 35,360, what's that an hourly wage? Please tell me it's not minimum wage.
No, we pay more than minimum wage.
Okay.
I mean, close to $20 an hour
Okay.
is really what we
All right.
target for our entry level.
Okay.
So for housekeeping and then front desk and GSM, I'm sorry, that's very like industry. That's our guest service manager. We would really call that more like an assistant manager. Executive housekeeper is the housekeeping manager.
Okay.
And then the general manager, it's probably more like $90,000 to $100,000 for a property like that.
Okay, so a
And
housekeeper,
what I'll also say in that line is for the county average, that line, we only have traditional hotels, which tend to have a few more of those
Right.
higher paying positions,
Right.
the nature of it. They might have a few more people in those, like, more management roles, because just the nature of the business is a little bit different, so that's
Okay.
also why that's probably a little bit elevated.
Okay.
It's a little bit apples and oranges.
We wanted to build a hotel in the community that's very competent, and this is part of our, mindset is bring a hotel to a community that offers a different service level. So Auburn doesn't have an extended stay hotel. It also doesn't have a hotel by Marriott. So a lot of travelers look for Marriott, a lot of travelers look for Hilton, some look for Intercontinental. You have a Holiday Inn, you have a Hilton Garden, you really have a kind of a full service Holiday Inn, more of a compact full service with a Hilton Garden. So, we didn't want to build something economy. There are some economy hotels in the community. We thought extended stay is the most desirable, lodging right now for communities. They're big rooms, they're great for business, they're great for leisure. And again, to get a Marriott flag is a good thing. And we did get Marriott to approve the site. It's not easy. I literally got that call at 3 o'clock today. Actually, he called at 2:45 because he had to watch the soccer game.
So the housekeeper, the young lady or young man that's gonna go clean their room after it's empty,
Yeah.
what will they be making an hour?
Let's say about $20 an hour.
That's awesome, that's
Yeah.
good. Okay.
Plus they get tips and fringe benefits.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's good work too. I mean, we get a lot of people, it's good first jobs. You don't have, some
Yeah.
people who are very introverted, don't want to interact with the public.
yeah,
It's physical. People, it's really, you can kind of come at your own time and do it. It's a good job if you want to work like 4 hours a day.
yeah,
Really flexible.
yeah, for a young person or somebody,
Absolutely. They tend to be younger.
yeah. So, and then the other thing I've gotta tell you, I would be remiss if I didn't, my role on this board is representative of labor. I certainly hope that you can give us some good news in August, or as soon as Tracy, if you give it to Tracy and Tracy can feed it to the board. The local labor agreement is something I've been a real stickler for years. I'm the senior member on this board. So, the more things you can do local, and I've been stung on it before. There's a project on Genesee Street down the road that we were outright lied to about. I went and did a site visit, and nothing that I was told actually happened. So I trust people until they give me a reason not to trust them. So you look like a very trustworthy man, so if there's bad news, just tell us there's bad news, and we can work with it. So hopefully you have some good news on that, because there's a lot of good masonry companies there. Hopefully they can do what you need.
Absolutely. I mean, we can't build a hotel, as Tracy was taking through. Unfortunately, we can't build a hotel today without an IDA pilot and the benefits. Literally, the numbers don't work. I mean, it's not even like we want a higher return on investment. It doesn't make money. It just doesn't work. So please check us out. I mean,
I don't need to.
We are so much more interested. We are at a point in our company where we can afford to lose a little money. We cannot afford to lose a shred of our reputation. And we have done a lot of IDA projects, all through Western and Central New York. I know all the executive directors are very well networked and know each other. Ask any of them, we've never had a problem.
No.
We happen to be based in Rochester, so you can start with Comida and work your way out from there. We've never had a problem.
Yeah.
We like doing things local. I mean, we are a local company doing local things with local economic development. I participate on economic development boards myself in Rochester. I'm a big believer in it as well. And my closest friends are union contractors.
Oh, good. Great.
Whatever, including one who was good enough to keep me company for 30 minutes on the phone out here.
Yeah, so we're on the same page. My friend Tracy over there, she heard a rant of mine that was epic. I picked up my oldest grandson from high school, and that goes back probably close to 10 years ago. And he was hungry, so he said, "Hey, Gramps, can you take me to Burger King? I'm hungry." So I take him to Burger King, and there was a car wash that looked for some assistance. And they told us, "Oh, we have prefab buildings, so, we don't need a lot of that stuff." So I said to the guy, I said, "Anything you can do local, please do local." But we're going through the drive-through line, I look over there, and I see 585 on the blacktop truck. And poor Tracy, I called her and I said, "Tracy, what the hell's going on here?" I said, "You know how many companies right in Peoria County do blacktop work?" I said, "We are being scammed."
Yeah, no, fair enough.
And I was madder than all hell. And the guy said, "Well, this is the person we always use." And I said, "Well, that wasn't the agreement." So first I took it out on poor Tracy, and then I took it out on them. I mean, that was just a pile of crap. You know what he said? "Well, they do good work, we don't have puddles." Well, guess what? That car wash has puddles when you come in, it has puddles when you come out. So you get your car washed and you're going through puddles. Well, you shouldn't get your car washed, but, so I appreciate it. I just want, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you those questions.
It's very important. I mean, look, it's part and parcel of how these, programs work. We appreciate that. The only times where we do it the right way, we get ahead of it, we'll work through the process. If the contractor is not available in the market, that tends to happen with our concrete block and plank. What also has happened is contractors who become very opportunistic and know that we have the requirement, and if the bids come in obscenely higher than what they should be, and we can document that the right way, we would like an opportunity to be able to show that.
Sure.
Otherwise, what are we really doing? I mean, it just.
Right.
But as long as, it's, good faith, fair dealings, you'll have no problem with us. I assure you of that. Not only do I own the company and run it, I'm extremely active with it. I am embarrassed to tell you, I do little else with my.
You want to get out and golf?
A little bit.
And I can confirm that other IDA directors have told me that they are very happy with the properties that Indus has done in their areas and working with them.
I appreciate it.
Community
Thank you.
Yes, they have.
So that's always a good sign too.
Yeah.
Repeat customers.
We've done quite a bit with them. In part just because, we're in Monroe County and, you tend to do, opportunities tend to pop up or you see things more closer to home.
Yeah, with my job, I was in, the Rochester area for years, and it's so much more active than Syracuse. I think that's gonna change with Micron coming.
Yeah, I'm on the, chamber board, Greater Rochester Chamber of Commerce. We were looking at some data where we're not happy. We've been grading beat by Buffalo and Syracuse lately, so we're trying to rally a little bit. These things tend to ebb and flow a little bit. I think the Micron thing is huge. I think it will make getting contractors harder. They are
Yeah,
pulling a lot of, I was shocked in a pleasant way how active the site was.
Yeah.
I drove by it a few weeks ago, and I didn't know if there would just be some silt fence and, you know, the golden shovels leaning up against a tree after that big groundbreak ceremony where, you know, all the politicians flew in, but I was really impressed with what was happening. Encouraged. I think between that and the Bill Stadium and some of the dairy plants and things going on, a lot of contractors are very busy. Matter of fact, most of the contractors we talk to are having the same problem most of us are having. There's more work and not enough workers.
Okay. Sure.
And then they're really busy in the summer as they all try to get their schoolwork done.
Sure.
So that's why I think you know, you can figure out. I can't either.
So there's also two things I wanted to just point to in the research from SBDC. I don't expect you to read all of those things, that's why I did a summary, and even the summary is kind of long. But I learned a lot about the extended stay market and reading those documents. And two things that I just want to highlight is that over the last few years, it appears that the extended stay market is the only hotel component of the hotel market that is actually growing and is improving. So the actual market dynamics of extended stay are different from traditional hotels. And, you know, the research does show it's a slightly different it is a different traveler index. You know, there's a different reason that people go to extended stay. So that research, you know, it's not that these rooms won't potentially compete with existing rooms, but I do feel that from the research, there's truly a different market between traditional and extended stay hotels. So it is truly between that and being a Marriott flag, it kind of is, I'm convinced it's a unique service. So I wasn't at first, but I am now. And Jet will tell you that too. I was like, really? But I'm convinced, because the market dynamics are actually very different between the two types of hotels. So I just wanted to highlight that from the research that we got from SBDC.
I don't know what that is about me because I always go for extended stay.
Sure.
Like a bigger room.
But is that what you find, and that's what it is, a lot of people want? Because I know staying in hotels, you know, especially if you're there for more than a couple days, and if you're with other people, you're crammed into one room, you know, something where there's other rooms, so people are on the couch or whatever, you know.
They're actually really comfortable. I think having a full-size refrigerator and a stove and things are really nice, especially if you're traveling for business. You don't have to go to like
Right.
Have a stove or even some will have an oven. It's really nice. With what's, I mean, it's just kind of a good segue when we were talking about labor. With all the activity in the country, whether it's CHIPS and Science Act or the big infrastructure bill, the $1 trillion infrastructure bill that got passed to rebuild the country, and all the broadband and road and water and electrical and all of that, and the fact that there really isn't a workforce anywhere local, it's a lot of like basic business infrastructure, and whether it's the surveyors or the civil engineers or even then later the contractors or the inspectors, so many people have to travel for their jobs. People don't understand. People ask me all the time, who stays in these hotels? And I'm like, well, you know, Americans basically work the whole year, and we take very little time off, so it's mostly business travelers. In a community like Auburn, because of the Finger Lakes and because of the wine region and just the attractiveness of the area, there will be more leisure traveler here than some other hotels like we see, like in Henrietta or in Chester or whatever. Weekends also tend to get a lot of traveling sports, and sports traveling has, you know, youth sports have changed a lot over the last generation or so, where there's just a lot more traveling with it, and extended stay plays well for that too, especially with the families and a lot of equipment. Hockey is really big here in the area, so it's a good fit. We went through the same analysis in Ontario County. There's only one extended stay hotel in Ontario County. It's a Homewood Suites. We own it in Victor. They felt the same way. They wanted something with Hilton. They wanted an extended stay hotel. It was unique, and it would work with the IDA there as well.
So, to the point you were just making, the other thing that research called out a lot was the uptake of leisure travel, business, like people go on business trips and then extend their stay for leisure. And we're actually probably really well positioned for that. People doing business travel in Syracuse and wanting to be in the Finger Lakes thereafter, for a few days. So, that's another thing in the market that is apparently driving a numbers. Like, leisure for.
I think part of that was remote work.
I don't like the word.
I want to reiterate,
Why don't you
Because that's something else. Sorry.
I just want to reiterate Councilor Cuddy's comments, and thank you for choosing Auburn. I think it's a good fit in that location, that the house has been vacant for 20 years now. You know, granted, it's weird, it's commercial, but it's part of still residential, and that commercial is creeping up. There has been some interest in the area, but it's been more fast food restaurants. I think that's dangerous on that hill.
I agree.
I think this is a better fit because the traffic going in and out will be less frequent. Obviously, and I completely understand why you're requesting the pilot you're requesting. I said at a meeting yesterday with city manager and another developer on another project, and they're just like, these numbers don't work. They just don't work. So I get it. It's also hard stuff too.
Oh, I understand.
So I guess my question for you is, if you requested similar pilots
Yes.
and other,
Yes.
and you can brand those?
Yes. And, you know, obviously, this is all public information. We're happy to provide it. It's out there. Yes. We've had, very similar pilots, 20 years plus. We've also, and I'm not asking for this, but with one I'm thinking about that was 20 years, with 10 years at zero, they also compete with zero, just to get it done. It is. To Tracy's point, it's not double, it's more than 50%. It's phenomenal how much construction costs have gone up. And admittingly, hotel rates have gone up a bit, but hotel rates have maybe gone up 10 or 20%. I know if you're traveling, it feels like more than that, but it isn't. Whereas the costs are, depending on the trade and FF&E with tariffs and things that have happened and really somehow haven't burned off, we are seeing things 50 to 100%.
Yeah. Listen,
It's unbelievable.
We just started a bridge project that when it originally went out to bid, it was a $5.5 million project, it's now $10 million. So we get it. We totally get it.
I think about some of the things, not to date myself, that we built 20 years ago, and we're building the same stuff today. It's triple.
The question I have on the admin fee, have we granted that type of request in the past? Because if we have, good, that's precedent, we can talk about it. The thing that always concerns me when we're doing something for the first time, I need that precedent. And other people are going to come back and ask for a lower admin fee.
So, there was a point in time when the fee was 0.77%. And to my knowledge, on the time I worked with you, I don't know about your other directors, we have not done a favor or a negotiation of the fee. It has changed. It changed maybe 15, 20 years ago. It went from 1 to 0.75 and back to 1. But we haven't done a negotiated fee. But I think this is one of those things with, Rob would say there's no such thing as a precedent. You know, you take the merits of the project, you look at the community benefit, you look at the need for the reduced fee on a case-by-case basis, and I'm not.
You say that because lawyers make a living off of precedent.
What I say is, I don't think this board has ever done it. I've been on the other side of projects with other boards that have made their request and have received it. In each case, it has to be case.
The other.
Right. What I would say is that, it's the applicant who needs to make the case. And I'm going to admit that I didn't put you all this to see whether that case has been made. But it's the applicant makes the case for it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just for information's sake, the other thing I've seen IGAs do is like negotiate a tiered structure where there's like a percentage is paid up front and a percentage paid in year, whatever. There's a lot of different ways to, I don't want to say skin a cat, but there's lots of different ways to skin a cat. And there's creative things that we can think about to try to help the project, but also make sure that we're setting ourselves up for success. And do remember, we did just change the fee policy to include an annual monitoring fee, so we have that as a new consideration as well.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I know the board, and I can appreciate all the questions. I hope we don't love coming around asking for added benefits. I mean, it's less than ideal. I don't like bringing my tin cup out and like, is really particularly comfortable for me to do. It's the only way the project can get done. We submitted cards totally baked up. Here are the P&Ls of projections. I even have a little bit of pause with them. We're aggressive on our rates. We're aggressive on the occupancy. We're aggressive on the top line performance. It may be too optimistic to be candid. We know what the costs are. We know what the operating expenses are. What we don't know is how it's going to perform. And you never know with spec real estate. But when we model these, like, most rational people, we have a realistic, pessimistic, optimistic view. We are modeling this optimistic, and that's shown in the report relative to the average daily rate, the occupancy. We really believe in the Marriott flag. Marriott gets a lot of performance. There's a really strong Marriott, Bonvoy, traveling public.
Yeah.
The fact that there isn't a Marriott in the market is really powerful for us, and we really hope we can do the numbers we're looking at. Fortunately, the company has grown to the size with the model we've had because we've never sold anything, and we do have things that we build for a third of the price that perform pretty well today. That allows us to make this investment that truly only makes sense if we own it forever. I mean, after we build it, I hope one thing the board could recognize, and this is a little bit of an issue in upstate New York, it's worth a couple $1 million less than what we do if it were to be sold. And that's assuming reasonable. We have to own it and operate it for a long period of time to get a reasonable return on it.
You said that you've never sold it.
No.
How long?
We opened our first hotel in 2001. 5 years. Just not our model.
And then, so this would be a Marriott banner. Have any change in that you own?
No.
Okay. So this will be like a year, question.
We signed, and it would never make sense. What was approved by Marriott, now we're waiting for the draft agreement from them, would be a 30-year license. 30 years, and it's going to be a Marriott.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's good. And the penalties for it coming out are unbelievable. We have liquidated damages that I personally. So it will be. There wouldn't be any reason to switch it, though. Okay. It's the premier flag.
Yeah.
Actually, it's good for us that we get a 30-year license. They tend to sign 20. Part of what we appealed to Marriott to get a 30-year application approved is the way we build it. So many people would build these out of wood frame. A concrete block and plank hotel is a much nicer hotel, and the stay is very elevated for the guests. It's quieter, the floors don't squeak, stays plumb and nice. It's more energy efficient. We will get probably a reduced insurance rate because of the non-combustible nature of the building. And where you really get the benefit, we're long-term investors, is 10, 15, 20 years later, when I walked the hotels or when we were building them and I knew we were spending a lot more money to do curbs and sidewalk and blacktop and compaction and block and plank, 10, 15 years later, those buildings look almost new. They really age well, and that's important to us.
And confirm, no, sliding floors, no, squishy, sagging, thank you, no sagging floors.
Especially wood frame, when you start to go 4 stories, I mean, state limit is 4 stories by code, it doesn't tell. Visibly, you can't tell, but you can tell it. It also adds $10 to $15 per square foot, is what it is.
Already expensive. And yes, Camoin this was actually when I got on the phone with Camoin, talking about the optimism of the numbers, like, that was the concern they brought up, is that, this seems optimistic. However, with new build, it's not unreasonable, but it is optimistic compared to the regional market and what most hotels are looking at right now in terms of revenue projection. So I think that's even a stronger case for why this pilot structure is necessary, is like give that buffer, because we're not even talking about at the end of the 25-year pilot, their rate of return is in the bottom half of, or the bottom quarter of what's standard for the industry. They're not even coming out at the top of the range. So there's not a ton of buffer room there should, projections be a little optimistic, So this pilot structure, like it pans out. The numbers pan out for the necessity for this. And I like the optimism, and I hope very much so that they're surpassed. And that's the other thing. They're at a point in the range where, like, if they do surpass, they do really well, and their numbers are surpassing what they projected, they're still not going to go above, probably not going to do above what is the industry range based on where they are in the numbers right now, their projections. So even if they're wildly successful, they're probably still going to be in a normal range for the industry in terms of rate of return under this structure. Do you agree?
Yeah, it kind of is what it is. It's driven by the market. Based on the product, being the only extended stay Marriott flight, we ought to perform towards the top end of the market, but it's not going to be some crazy outlier, right, where it just all of a sudden this hotel performs 10x better than the next. That's just not how it works. But the model only works because we're willing to be in it long term, and that model only works because it's all in our application. We don't have any investors. The hotel is owned wholly by myself and my brother, who's a physician in Westchester. We don't take any investor money, so because we don't have to please any investors, we can pay people a little bit more. We don't change the flags. We don't sell it. Generally, hotels are built, and part of our portfolio has been built by acquiring. The typical model for hotel development is raise a group of money through investors, and then investors want a rate of return, and ultimately they want their money back in generally 10-ish years. That's not part of our business model, so we just keep operating it and try to keep it up the best we can. Part of the success is, I've talked about the flag and the product, and of course we'll talk about the community, but then it's also us. We have to operate it well. We have to get the right general manager who does the right thing and hires the right people and has an engaging atmosphere, writes the schedule right, makes it a good place to work, and our guests are taken care of, and we have a good business. But the general manager of all of our properties have remarkable control over our fate. Actually, it's shocking how much the general manager controls the success or failure of our. We're pretty obsessed about it.
The general manager in Henrietta, when I was there, very pleasant, just like a very pleasant person. I can't recall his name, but he was very pleasant, very knowledgeable, and the staff we ran into seemed to like him. To that point, I kind of saw that energy that was there.
Any other? Right. So I'd like to see if there's a motion to accept the application for this project.
Second.
All right, Dan and Bill. All right, is this, we should vote, roll call vote? Okay.
Okay, so Chairwoman Weber McLeod is excused. Councilor Cuddy?
Yes.
Mr. Lovell?
Yes.
Ms. Crawford? Mr. Andre?
Yes.
Ms. Walter is excused. Ms. Henkin is excused. Mr. DeSavero?
And, I'm used to it.
Used to it.
I'm used to it. You know, if I don't have my other documents. This, off the top of my head. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, very nice, very nice to meet you, very nice to meet you too, thank you. Thanks for appreciating it. Absolutely. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Safe travels home.
Thank you. Okay. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. That'll be helpful. His name's Rob, too.
I'm looking terrible.
So, there was a marketing committee meeting yesterday, and, do we have a report from a member of the marketing committee that would like to just go over what transpired yesterday?
You want me to give it a shot, or do you want to give it a shot? Go for it. Okay. So, we spent a lot of time, reviewing some documents from Melody Smith-Johnson, who, put together a really nice overview of what the charge of the committee could be and the process moving forward on, what are the steps we need to take to be successful in meeting the strategic priorities around marketing that we have. And so we're going to review that over the next month, and then at the August meeting for the Board of Education, bring forward kind of a proposal from that marketing committee of like that structure, that process, and a 90-day plan for that committee for the board to review and respond to, make sure we're on the right track, heading the right direction. And then the first step after that will primarily be defining the correct audiences and how we are going to be reaching them. But had a good couple of sessions to get our feet on the ground and start really thinking through the purpose of that committee and how we can move forward and how it interacts with this board. And basically, what we came down to, the simple version we came down to yesterday was that that committee is responsible for creating the strategy and providing ideas for activities that can occur. Those come to the board for kind of the thumbs up, but also for resourcing and implementation. So that group needs to be realistic about what this board can reasonably resource, but also they need to be pushing the envelope of what is useful and helpful and creative to get the word out about Ada, Auburn, doing business here, and what we can offer.
Yeah, I think the document you sent out, document that she had created, really outlined pretty much stuff to that. I think she did a great job creating those documents. The ones that were in the email, you review those in detail. That's mostly sticking by that. And yeah, we're gonna regroup next month, and then over the next month, separately work on updating those plans, and then when we come together next month, finalize it. Yeah, but it did a great job with that. It was really good. Really good job.
Yeah, that's where we are. So you should see more from the committee next month to get a sense of what the 90-day plan is.
Great. So next is the governance committee, and we just met at 4 p.m. For this meeting, and I will go over what we discussed and reviewed. So first off, we discussed the board evaluations. What I'll do is I'll start off with the two of the findings or suggestions that the governance committee noted, and then we'll open it up to general discussion about the board evaluations that were in our minutes. First thing was one of the findings, or one of the items of note, was that someone felt that there should be a separate evaluation for the executive director, and that, you know, the committee felt was actually a good idea. So include a separate evaluation for the executive director. The other thing that was discussed and suggested was formalizing board orientation, more so than just the state mandated one that it's like a webinar that when you're onboarded. I think all of us had to do that when we first started. And so having something more formalized for that. One of the things I was just thinking out loud, I know we had that binder that was like the Harris speech. Jim called it the Bible. But maybe something that would be like highlighted for that could help, you know, give them the actual full binder, the booklet packet, but also, you know, something that can be, you know, reinforced by the board itself and kind of make sure that new members really have a good, solid understanding of their role on the board. So that was what we found. I mean, were there any other thoughts on the board evaluations that we could discuss as a whole? Anyone have any thoughts or suggestions that they want to share with the general board?
The important thing is that looking at the responses this time compared to 6 months ago, we're definitely moving in a positive direction on the responses. We had a lot fewer, if any, disagrees. There were primarily more people agreeing or strongly agreeing than we've seen most of them.
Yeah, we're definitely moving in the direction, and even not even just 6 months ago, but years ago. You know, like so it's good to see that we are indeed moving in the right direction. Thanks, Dan. Should have given it a more general.
Any other comments, thoughts on the evaluation?
All right, and also, so that was the evaluation. The other thing that was noted is we reviewed bylaws, and something that we felt needed to be clarified is one of the roles in section 4. They just have the treasurer listed, and our situation here with this board is that the city treasurer serves as like the official treasurer, but as you know, Tessa is our board treasurer, so we want to break that role into 2 separate roles. One being the ex officio, which would be the city treasurer who signs all the checks. They would, you know, basically that's their role in the bylaws, and then have a board treasurer. We just want to break that down so that their description fits what it is that they actually are. So that's something that we would like to bring forward in January when we update our bylaws. Is that fair to say, Tracy? So there's that, and then there's an updated organizational chart. It was noted that the organizational chart that we currently have looked like a figure from a video game, 1980s video game. We want to make sure that this organizational chart has our current logo, reflects where we are now, and that it's just updated. So this is the one that we would like to adopt. Tracy, do you want to take over from here and just kind of note the big differences and if there are?
So, basically, I don't think I can put the old one here. Basically, the differences here are adding the committees, to the org chart. The prior one had the assistant treasurer and assistant secretary from when we had like a bunch of staff people doing different things. That's no longer the case. So those got removed for now, and it more accurately reflects the officers and the appointing entity being the city of Auburn. So I think it's just a better reflection of how the board is set up now, the board and staffing is set up now than it was the prior version, which was 2014 or 15.
And this reflects that breaking up of the treasurer,
Yes.
city treasurer, official treasurer, and the board treasurer. So, so is there any discussion on this? If not, is there a motion to, amend the organizational chart to reflect this current, layout? Dan, motion, and the mayor seconded. All right, all in favor? Aye. All right, carries. All right, next we have, discussion on the, central building. So,
I wish Karen was here.
Yeah. Well,
so, Tracy, you want to take this?
Yeah, so at the last meeting, there was a question about, you know, there was an article in the newspaper about the Health Central building and the county, Cuba County, having a purchase offer in on that building. And the county is in their due diligence process, as I understand it. Most likely, if everything goes smoothly and works well, they're looking to close in like the January timeframe.
Yeah.
So we've got a few months, but the question was really, how that impacts the pilot? Is there any, you know, what happens if and when that happens? It will go off the tax rolls. Does that mean anything for any recapture? So just getting a better understanding of that process and how it could play out on the back end for the IDA. So Rob, I think you were gonna look at the pilot, see what the language there was. I should have reminded you.
I think that one was before any sort of recapture.
Yeah.
Wait, can you say that one more time?
I think central building was prior to any recapture.
So,
Can
we see that? Can you, like,
No, I will pull it up. It's just, you know, starting my new position. I've been a little bit out of it.
so we did the original pilot, then we did an extension in 2016. I don't think that extension would have changed the pilot agreement that much. The original pilot agreement, 2000. Oh, it would probably be in the agent agreement, wouldn't it?
Yeah, any recapture would be in the agent agreement.
So as just like a matter of process, what tends to happen is, like what happened with Mass Studios and Courier, is that as part of the process of the sale, we would do a termination of the pilot agreement. The county clearly isn't gonna need to take over the pilot because they tax exempt. So as a matter of process, what would occur is we would just sign off on the termination, which is something that we can't stop someone from terminating their pilot. It's, you know, we reasonably have to let them out of it if they request. So we would have them make a formal request for a termination, and then we would just participate in the closing document to clear the title for the sale. Because what ends up happening, especially in this case, is because it's so old, is we're actually an owner on the property. And so for that to transfer, we need to release the property in addition to the property owner. So that our role is just to clear the title for the sale.
How much was central building still owe the taxpayers?
How much would they still owe?
Yeah.
So like on their pilot?
Yeah.
I believe they have 4 years left on their pilot. And total pilot amount for the city or?
Well, because the county would, I'm just thinking out loud here, the county would obviously, they're buying it, so that's no concern to them. But as far as like maybe the school district and the city, what would that mean to them as far as how much would be lost in this?
So the pilot goes through the 29-30 tax year. So there's this year, so there's 4 years, 4 pilot billing years left. The total amount that they would owe in that time would be $330,000. $30,000 for the city and the schools, the total, that's $257,000 roughly. So 258,000 would have gone to the city and the school district over those.
County's not gonna be able to move into that very quickly. There's a lot of work to do. It's gonna have to be gutted once again.
But once it changes ownership is when the pilot.
Right.
I mean, I don't know what the county plan is. I don't know.
I mean, that's all chopped up into little offices, little.
Yeah, but I could see like some of the doctor's offices becoming departments with multiple, because there's exam rooms, and so there's offices within, so I mean, it might need less work than you think, and then there is a, kind of like a clean, ready space on the third floor that has all the utilities in there, and it just needs to be out, so I think they have some options, but I don't really know.
The top part where the auditorium used to be is still.
The way it was explained to me when I met with Chairman Anna, he met with Jenny and I to let us know the day that they were voting on this, so it wasn't some surprise to us. Just the way they did construction in there, the walls are easily
Yeah.
reconfigured.
Yeah, I was in there a couple of times when they were putting it together. First and second floor, the basement and the first floor.
So, Rob, have you had situations like this in the past?
It depends on what's in the agent agreement. I don't know if an early sale was a triggering event for the, recapture.
That's not.
I mean,
We'll have to
so,
look at that.
I'm just trying to, but we have approved the sale, correct?
No, you don't get a say whether they sell or not.
Okay.
That's sort of up to them. The recapture payments are just a contractual payment. Early sale is a trigger event, and have to be paid some percentage.
Even though we're part of the title, we're just.
Yeah, so it's more, we're in the line of the title to effectuate the exemption of the property taxes, like us being on title is what makes it tax exempt.
Gotcha.
So it's not that we have really any ownership interest in it, it's more so just to make that exemption on the taxes.
I remember when that all started, they had engineers go in there and study that building. I remember them telling us way back in 2000 that, buildings built during that time, during the
Depression.
the program that.
Yeah, Works Progress Administration.
Yeah, that President Roosevelt, that they were the best built building.
Yeah.
They said that thing could withstand tanks going through it. So it would be a good home for the county. Sure.
For sure.
So, yeah, I just apologize. Based on it, I have to check whether it's in the recapture. Look at the resolution on here, it does have recapture.
In the agreement.
Yeah, they're related to expansion. So I just need to know what those
Terms are. I think it's just fair to at least have the discussion as to, because obviously the county is like, it's a wash, but I just think it's fair enough for the city and the school to
Understand what you're legally allowed, like what is legally
Yeah, I mean, we're not-
practically speaking, if there is a recapture, then it should be paid out of the closing proceeds.
Yeah. Thank you for finding that.
So we'll revisit that one recapture issue next month, but.
I can report back to you.
Oh, yeah, okay, so we can do it by email.
Yeah, no. I'll just report back to the board by email. Like I said, I apologize. Based on it.
You have a lot going on?
And I'm adding Jimmy to the role.
You're not, look at you, moving up, Mayor, moving up.
So, yeah, we'll report back, on clear capture language.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you all. Next is there, any unfinished business? Tracy, do you want to? Is this the treasurer? I'm sorry.
No, you're right.
Okay.
This is just the next thing in the packet material. Just a really quick update that, I've heard back from all parties, and we are going to, or everyone is amenable with changing the pilot billing schedule. And so what we will do moving forward, so as just a quick reminder, we currently bill our pilots in September and they're due January 1. What that means is that we don't have the actual county tax rate at the time that we're doing the billing. We are using the prior year tax rate. And in a recent conversation with the county, this made them a little uncomfortable and they requested that we use the real tax rate or do some sort of a reconciliation. The path of least resistance is to just change the timing of the billing and do the billing in January. And that way we can still bill once and do one round of disbursements and everyone's tax rates are correct. So I've talked to the school district and the city to make sure that that wouldn't cause any cash flow issues or be problematic in any way, and everyone was A-okay. So what I would like to do is notify all of our pilot recipients that we are going to change the billing cycle so that we're billing in January with the actual tax rate for the county and everybody else, and have it due. We also have a very long time frame, so I'm going to reduce that time frame a little bit and have it due probably in March instead of having
January to March.
5 months, having,
Gotcha.
you know, something closer to 60 to 90 days instead of 120. And right now we have a very long payment period, and I don't know why, it's just how it has been.
Yes. Okay.
So that is the plan moving forward, and if the board is amenable to this switch, I would start reaching out to the pilot recipients.
Do we need to have a motion for that?
I think that would be a good idea.
Okay. Is there a motion to change the schedule of, billing?
What if it comes down to one or two that say I'm not doing it? Any say to say, well, everybody else is doing it, you gotta do that.
The way the pilot agreements are all drafted, except new core, is that you can build bucket. New core is the one we have. Very simple. They're lawyers, just don't have it on safety cert. Not a problem all the time.
So they'll have to do something on their end, or should we do something on our end too?
We would have to do an amendment that's signed by both parties to the pilot agreement.
Fair enough.
If someone comes back and says, hey, this is a real hardship for my business, I think that's a conversation we could have and figure out the right balance. I like that we do all three at the same time, all three bills at the same time, because it just really streamlines the whole process for everybody. So if there is a business that comes back and says, this is undoable for me because it will create financial hardship for whatever reason, or there's an issue with it crossing over the calendar year, I can bring that back and we can have options for that, but this is gonna be, this is the best path forward for us, and then we can, if we get feedback that that's not gonna work, then we'll.
We can deal with that on a case by
We'll work from
case
there.
basis. Okay.
All right, I'll make that motion.
Okay. All right. So should it be a vote or just all in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, carried.
And then the only other update is that our website is no longer blacklisted, so our website is accessible to everybody. The marketing committee is taking a look at it to see where updates need to be made, but, I just wanted to make everyone aware that you no longer get the red screening steps when you go to the website.
Yes, got it.
It turns out the GoDaddy representative I disliked the most actually fixed it. Really annoying. So, good on that guy. So that's all I have for general.
Okay. So, is there any request for executive session?
Yes.
There is, okay, so I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session. Is there a motion to do so?
So moved.
Bill, and second, Dan, second. All right, so we can go into executive session.
All in favor?
Is there, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, so Tessa, you want to do the, do we want to review the bills first before we vote?
These are the bills. The Camoin Associates bill was $5,000 for the test of reasonableness. We did get a check from Indus for their $6,000,
Application?
well, the $6,000 is, so when we know we need to go out, we ask them for $6,000 as like a retainer.
Okay,
So that will pay this, and the
Okay.
other $1,000 will actually cover their application fee. We're just
Okay.
gonna apply to their application fee. So this $5,000 is money that was provided by Indus, and then my monthly. And then we also need to make, and so on that line, along those lines, just make a transfer from, our pilot, I put the Indus, retainer, the $6,000 in the pilot account, so I can track it better. So, because it wasn't our money yet, so I'm gonna pay Camoin out of that, and then I'd like to transfer the other $1,000 to our operating account, for the application. So that's everything that's on this.
Okay.
I did not print it.
all right, so do we need a motion to, approve the bills and invoices? Do I have a motion? Dan, second. Mayor, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, and so Tessa, you want to take care of the treasurer's report?
Let us go down. When we went through this, that was really the biggest difference from last month was, and I think last month we just talked about how, you can see the bank account balances are down from last year. We talked about cash flow time, how that works, before. Partly why I asked, some of, like, as we're going through that contract, but I was thinking, I guess this is where I'm gonna get my little plug in with the boss I'm counting is the new agreement. When we're, looking at the admin fees and talking about that and looking at the bigger picture of it, I see the point in, working with them to get through it. We're also looking at, our own cash flow and the sustainability of our group. So those are a lot of the big reasons why, it's nice to have those negotiation options, whether it's setting like a minimum or whatever. The accounts receivable has to do with the South Street, agreement, and that account payable is the $5,000 for, and the project service retainers is what Tracy was just talking about, how we had received the funding or the security deposit with some of these projects. So that's all going through that line. So then, once we get to the profit and loss, you won't see it on there because it was like in and out. And then she kept them in separate accounts so that it was all reserved. The duty of government has to do with the county, and then we move on to the net assets. And I know I probably say this every single meeting, but just to keep it under, the forefront of your mind that what it comes down to, like with that equity that we see when we're looking at the negative $45,000, I remember with all these projects make it different. So, same thing with cash flow, with each of these agreements, it's almost like one could take care of the entire year. So it's really great that we have these conversations and open meetings when somebody comes with an application that we're looking at. Where we go. And then on the next page, was the profit and loss. Not much activity with the contract services. And so that's over. I think this will move through June 30th, and I think you're completed, whatever. So,
why you will see the $1,000 application fee show up, because their application actually came in July, like signed and done, so that $1,000 will show up there.
So, is that it for the, you know?
It's also a P&L.
All right.
Oh, that one's really pretty.
Just for my knowledge, just the account on our accounts payable, 240 due to government, right? That's your voice will let you.
The one our accounts payable, that was what, oh, the 9,000?
No, the 240 due to government,
Oh,
13.
That's probably like a year ago, 18 months ago, there was one of our pilot agreements. If somebody's late, they should be paying, we should be collecting the late fees. Oh, that's what it was 2 years ago. This was maybe 3 years ago now. So we were, this is before me. We as ADA were late dispersing pilot payments to the municipalities because they need to be dispersed within 30 days of when they were received. And the staff at the time saved them all. They just built them up and dispersed them all at once. So they were not dispersed in a timely fashion, which accrues fees and penalties to the municipalities. The school district and the city,
that's fine.
The city waived those fees for us. We've asked the county to waive those fees, but they haven't yet. And so we've just been waiting on them for 18, 24 months to say whether or not they're willing to waive them. And so that's what those fees are. But what you'll also see is that when we do our pilot billing, all of our pilot payments get put in here until we disperse them. So you'll notice when we bill, this number will go up to the amount that ultimately will get paid out to the government, and come down as we make those disbursements. So these are funds that are literally due to government from the pilots or these.
To be clear, the county has made no move to cut those, or the treaties to waive them, the city and school district so graciously did, and I think we're just going to let the statute of limitation run, and then that'll eventually go off. They have no legal right to it anymore. So I have to look back at the exact dates, but I think there's like a year and a half left.
Basically, the $13,981, that was paid to Hughes County. They
They are due to Hughes County. We have not paid them.
Oh, I see. Okay. And then they waive them, they don't come out.
Yes.
Okay.
And when the statute of limitations are on, stale head.
So then would that mean that we have to pay it, or that would mean if they don't respond, then it just goes away?
Just go, so I don't want to speak to accounting rules, but if it's a legal matter, if once the statute of limitations are on, it's a stale debt, and they cannot collect it anymore.
And I think like during the audit, they brought up like what that, and how we would handle that problem.
And you've asked.
I've asked them repeatedly to
Yes.
address it, and they have not.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
Should probably stop talking about that for about a year and a half. We can bring it up then.
Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions?
So, if no questions, should we move to approve the treasurer's report? All right, Dan, thank you. Any second? Who's Matt? Okay. All those in favor? All right, it's moved. All right. Any board updates? I know that there's some upcoming meetings and events. I know next month, August 19th, we're going to be meeting at 4 p.m. Well, there's going to be a tour before our meeting at Bomer on 21 Allen Street. So keep that in mind if you want to go there for the meeting at 4 p.m. And then our regular meeting will be at 5 after that.
The regular meeting will be here, so.
Oh, we're not gonna meet there,
Meet
okay.
at Palmier, do the tour. They don't, when I talked to them, they didn't really have an appropriate space at that location for us, so we're
Fair
gonna do
enough.
a tour, and then we're gonna come over to City
Come
Hall.
over here, okay, great. Great,
I think there's a bus.
I'll leave the caravan.
Okay.
You can all hop in the back of my truck.
All right, well,
If you walk here, okay.
there are some chamber events, that July 16th, Glenn is going to be, giving a leadership lecture, at 9 a.m. at the Carriage House Theater. There's some cocktail connections August 5th, and then Glenn has another lecture series on August 20th at 9 a.m. And then there's the County Strategic Planning Visioning Session on July 28th.
Yeah, so actually the Central Cuba, Strategic Planning Visioning Session at Cuba on Zagabosi is the 29th.
The 29th, okay.
So that, they're doing three of them, one north, one central, one south, and so the central one is the 29th at,
Day after, okay.
starts Sunday on the Pacific. This
Oh.
agenda got too long.
Oh, I see it now. Okay, great, thank you. Is there anything else?
I didn't, the meeting that happened at the city, invited us to, but, and for the strategic plan,
Oh, the comprehensive plan?
when, that was a county, so about least how that went, or is that for a different discussion?
Yeah, no.
And then is there another meeting scheduled?
There's not another meeting scheduled yet. I think the next one they're planning on October is going to be more of a listening session. This one, they had about, I want to say 40 or 50 people came out, and it was really kind of an introduction to the planning process. And then there was an open workshop for people to give feedback about specific aspects of the city and like housing, transportation, economic development. And so they're compiling all of that feedback. They're also doing a series of interviews and focus groups. And so they'll kind of use that information that they're collecting now to start creating a vision and a direction for comp plan strategy. And I believe, I think they said in October that would be probably the next public session. That would be more about that visioning piece. Does that sound right?
I think so.
Great. I will.
Again, they scheduled it, I had another application, that's what I think, so.
But yeah, so when the next one gets scheduled, I'll make sure to put it on the agenda and let all of you know.
Right, is there any other business? If not, I call a motion to adjourn. Is there a motion? Tessa? And Dan? Tessa and Dan? All right. All those in favor? Aye. All right, thank you all. We'll see.